Good morning, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. Here to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. I'll tell you who's coming up on that show. Oh, in just a little bit here. But first of all, good morning. If you're joining us after the fact, have a good day to you. It is Hump Day, Wednesday. As I'm recording this, it is Wednesday, August 27th. Labor Day weekend is this weekend. How crazy is that? Paul, good morning. How are you? Cliff, always a pleasure. Hey, Joel, nice to have you with us. I love your, what do we call that? That's not an emoji. That's not, whatever that is right there. I love that. Again, my name is Mike Avery. I'm here behind the mic. I'm here behind two microphones. This microphone that you're hearing me on my social media microphone. This one, my official broadcast microphone. In about 20 minutes, I will fire up this microphone to record this week's radio show, heard on more than 30 radio stations across this great state of Michigan. It's a 3-hour weekly show. It is Michigan-based. People said before, I've had them post comments, I like that Avery show, but boy, there's a lot of Michigan stuff. Yeah, it is. This is my broadcast show is it's a Michigan show. There's no doubt about it. It is airs on Michigan radio stations. So occasionally we go beyond our state's borders, but it is primarily a Michigan show, and I make no apologies for that. Your icon, you think it's called? Okay, I like it. Tim Binns, good morning. How are you? Thank you for making your reservations for the Wednesday Night Live at the Lumberjack coming up September 24th at 7 p.m. Call 989-343-0892 for reservations. I look forward to seeing you and Jen there. Hey, thank you, Craig. I enjoyed that. You know what I think of Lance. Lance Valentine is just a great guy. And it was interesting to be on the other end of the conversation with him asking the questions. What Craig is talking about is last night, I was the guest of Captain Lance Valentine on his coffee hour, on the Walleye Zone live stream, and I thought Lance asked me some great questions. By the way, Craig, as you heard last night, Lance is one of my special guests at the Wednesday Night Live at the Lumberjack coming up on the 24th. Again, if you want to join us, 989-343-0892. One of the things I'm going to do at that Wednesday Night Live, Uncle Johnny, is I have ordered a production version of this knife, and I'm going to give it away that night. So somebody that night is going to walk away with one of these limited edition Mike Avery signature knives. Also a special guest that night, by the way, is Andrew Cumptus of Outdoor Driven. He's going to be with us as well. So, Johnny Bowler, Johnny the Bear Whisperer, how you doing, my friend? I am going to post some pictures from Johnny today from his bear trail cameras. Pretty cool pictures. Johnny's got them dialed in. Johnny's filled up for this season. No more room for hunters. But if you're looking for a hunter in the future, a bear hunt in the future in the Newberry district, Johnny is your guy. This Johnny right here is another guy. He's my guy, Johnny Craves, my brother-in-law, Uncle Johnny. We call him Uncle Johnny. Good morning, Johnny. We got to get out golfing. Denise and I and James and Addison played yesterday afternoon, and it was ugly. For me, it was ugly. I hadn't played in 2.5 weeks since the last time I played was at Curry on that day that it was 140 degrees, and it was just so miserable. I actually did do my longest drive of the summer last night, though. I cranked one out at 208 yards, which for me, that's a poke. I doubt if Johnny's coming down for that, but if he does, we will welcome him. Jim, good morning. How are you? Mike, I was going to ask you this, and maybe I did, and if I did, I apologize. Did they send your Avery knife in a really nice nylon leather sheath with a nylon pouch with a cleaning cloth, or did they put it in the cardboard box? I found out that a few of those earlier on were shipped in the cardboard box because they were out of the nylon cases, and I'm trying to replace those nylon cases. So tell me what it was, Mike, and I can make that better for you. Chris, good morning. How are things in Kansas? A beautiful, cool morning in Kansas. Isn't it nice that we've got this cooler weather? I'm loving this. Going to miss the Wednesday Night Live at the Lumberjack? I get it. Yes, Tim. Jay Wadersky of Sturgeon for Tomorrow, a a friend of the show, a friend of mine, and some others were down from the Black Lake chapter, and they released sturgeon in the Saginaw watershed system. I was out of town that day, and I couldn't see it, but very cool. It came in the cardboard box. Mike, I will get you. I'll get you one of those nylon cases if you want it, or if you're not concerned about it, don't worry. I would like to see them. I'd like to see you get your money's worth and more, and I think you have. But still waiting for your knife to ship. I've actually got 2 knives that I'm still waiting for, Paul. I've got the one. I ordered 3 of the knives. I ordered one for my grandson Trent. I ordered one for my friend Brent, and I ordered the 3rd one to give away at Wednesday Night Live. I have one of those knives in. I'm still waiting for the other 2. So, yeah, I'm in the same shape that you are, Paul. In fact, I will check with Chris Durson today to see what the status of those is. The knives are selling very well. So far, we've made like $2,300 for Outdoor Driven, the group formed to get first responders and veterans on outdoor adventures. So I'm feeling very good about that. And I think what we're going to do, let me check my calendar. The Jay's anniversary sale is Saturday, September 20th, that weekend. Okay, Jay's anniversary. 9/20. That Saturday morning, Chris Durson and I are going to present a check, the first check to Andrew Cumtus of Outdoor Driven for the first payment of the money we have promised them, the proceeds from the Avery knife. So that'll be a lot of fun. Let's see here. Mad Jack, good morning. How are you? Joe Llewellyn, good morning, Pastor. It's that time of year, isn't it, buddy? Weather's getting a little cooler. Days are getting a little shorter. You can feel it, can't you? Always a pleasure to have you along with us, Joe. Hope things are well. I saw you found your fillet knife. Judy, good morning. How are you? Craig, are you up north already? Why would you? Because bear season doesn't start till September. So I'm curious, Craig, what are you doing up there in Seney right now? And you went to Andy's for lunch. It's a pretty cool place, isn't it? What did you do? Why are you up there now? Tim Binns, Chippewa Nature Center kept one for display in an aquarium. 6 inches to 22 inches in 1 year. Very cool. The Bucks have ghosted me the last few days. I think they're getting rid of their velvet. Interesting. Jerry's waiting for his knife also. Michael, good morning. How are you? I will check with Chris Durson, guys. We'll see how things are going. I know that they are selling them. I know that they are making them and getting them out the door as fast as they can. We're selling them very well. Oh, thank you for reminding me, John. In the studio this morning, Michigan brand products. This one happens to be one of my favorite, peppercorn smoked beef. Another one that you can't go wrong with, honey glazed smoked turkey. I have found a new product that I think might be my favorite from Michigan brand. It's called their Jack and Snack. And it's a package of cubes of cheese combined with pieces of meat stick. And it is probably the ultimate snack. Had to take a blind and some peanut butter to Johnny. Is Johnny hooked on peanut butter again? Did you take 2 of those big Costco jars up to him? That guy and his peanut butter, he's something else. Morning, Danny. How are you? Danny Johnson, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, right there. There you go. I think I've just about worn the finish off that overpriced Yeti. A blind and a pail of peanut butter to sit on. Oh, to sit inside it. When does your season start, Craig? Your 3rd season? TJ, good morning, buddy. Elk hunting in Atlanta is in full swing. Yes. I have I've been in contact with a buddy of mine, Brian Bolter, who is hunting with Vance Gowell. Brian has an elk tag. The season started yesterday. Right now, Vance is trying to get his bull hunters animals. In fact, as long as you bring it up, that leads me into the rundown for this week's show. Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand is my first guest. He talks about a recent sturgeon fishing adventure, plus all things Michigan Brand. Then Brad Dupuy of Angler Quest. They're Their dealer meeting was last week at Linwood Beach Marina, and Brad unveiled 2 new models of Angler Quest. We're going to talk with him about that. Then Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News promotes their big outdoor weekend coming up next weekend. Yeah, next weekend. In the second hour, Vance Gowell, a Michigan elk hunting guide, talks about the elk hunting season. Then Scott Buttrick on long-range accurate shooting of 22s. And then in our third hour, we talk about the early goose season with Glenn Alfieri. The early goose season, which I say shoot them all. Get as many of those big flying rats as you can. And then we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. Randy Iamurray, who is a fellow skinny water guy, says, on a drift boat this morning. Well, that sounds like fun, Randy. What river? The Manistee? David, good morning. How are you? 5-gallon bucket for bears. Don't, Craig. Now, Craig, keep in mind, I used to consider you a dear friend until you told me you were related to the governor. When you said you were related to Whitmer, I lost all, I don't know, everything went south for you and me. Craig? The 10th, the first season. Excellent. And Michelle, too. Johnny, I do want Craig to shoot a big bear. I want Craig to shoot a monster bear. Or Michelle, a monster bear. Barry, good morning. How are you? TJ, are you guiding? TJ had a hard time getting on bulls yesterday. TJ, I was not aware of this. TJ, you are a Michigan elk guide as well. I did not know that. Good luck and thank you for letting me know. Jim, good morning. Hello, Jerry. How are you? Kevin, Coyote Killing King Rot, how are you? Good morning. 35 degrees in Germfask. Whoa. Gotta love that. Andrew checking in from Linwood. How are things in that beautiful city? Mike, Descent. Mike, you got to help me out. Is it Descent? And I should know. I mean, it's spelled like Descent. Decent. I just know of you as Mike Carhaller. And I've heard the pronunciation of your last name, but hey, give me a break. It took me about 3 tries to get Wadersky. I thought it was Woldersky and everything, so it took me a while to get Wadersky. So I struggle with names lately, and I apologize for that. They might be a stroke, residual of the stroke. I don't know, or just getting old. Chris, this stuff I've done to improve is starting to 2 coveys of quail. The first time I ever saw quail was in your beautiful state of Kansas. Johnny says, you've seen the pictures. Now it's up to the hunters. I will probably save one of the bigger ones for you. Don't, Johnny. Do not save a big bear for me for next year. Honestly, don't. Or speaking of Wadersky, there's Jay right there. Jay, congrats on the sturgeon release in the Saginaw watershed last week. Johnny, honestly, I don't have any more room for a bear mount, a bear rug, or anything, so I'm looking for a meat bear, and I'm not talking until next year. So any hunter you can put on a monster bear, including Craig and Michelle, feel free to do it. 2 trips scheduled this weekend. People are dropping like flies. What? 2 trips of what, Paul? What are you doing? Are dropping? I don't know what that means. Jay, again, good morning. Ed, nice to have you along with us, buddy. Ed Bolanowski. Well, thanks, Mike. In fact, I actually asked one of the MUCC guys when we were at the golf outing. I said, how does Mike say his last name? He's like, I'm not sure. Good point, TJ. Mike, we know you don't want a big bear since you drag your bears out by yourself and Johnny doesn't help. That's a very good point, TJ. Thank you for that. Why would I want to, and I will hunt with Johnny next year, the next time I get a tag, because he's my guy. But I don't want a 300-pound bear because Johnny's going to be sitting with somebody else. He's going to leave me to my own. He's going to leave me on my own, so I will have to gut and drag the bear out by myself. Since I'm an old guy now, I probably shouldn't shoot a bear any bigger than 150 pounds. Doug Ward. Are we ready for fall? I think we're getting there. I got you, Paul. Autocorrect. I hate autocorrect. Okay, what's on my list? Labor Day weekend this weekend. Can you believe it? But you know what? Summer's basically over, and I say good riddance to you. It was not the best summer I can remember. I mean, it was cold, 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 late spring, early summer. I think we sat at my granddaughter Addison's softball games for the most part wearing winter coats. Then when it got warm, it got really warm, unbearably hot. I mean, like unbearably hot. My walleye fishing season was a short one. I'm ready to move on, and I'm digging this cooler weather. Johnny, he didn't give me a chance to get there. Me and Doug took great care of the bear. You know I'm just busting your chops, Johnny, right? I mean, you know that. But if anybody else thinks that I am genuinely ragging on Johnny, I am not. I'm just busting the chops of a buddy of mine. Shaping up to be a great casting season. Earliest I've gotten fish so far, they're in one night and gone the next. Won't be long, we'll be watching fall colors. I'm ready. I'm ready. Okay. The days are definitely getting shorter. Have you noticed this? We've lost, I feel like we've lost about an hour of daylight in the evening. Cooler weather's nice. Hey, a follow-up to my bear hunt. I shot a bear, didn't recover it. You know the whole story there. A couple of points that I didn't mention before. I was talking to some buddies of mine who are nighttime coyote hunters, and they use thermal imaging optics. And they said, Avery, if you would have had one of those thermal imaging scopes, you would have been able to find that bear. And I thought, oh, that's a good point. So we just didn't have the tools, as many tools as we would have liked. We had some great trackers, but we didn't have a dog and we didn't have a thermal optic. That would have helped. Also, on X, the digital scouting platform that you put on your phone that you can put in waypoints. Thank God for OnX. It worked out in the middle of the Ontario bush where there was no signal at all. It allowed me to put down a trail that I could follow to my blind and as we were tracking the animal. OnX is a tremendous tool. I am not associated or affiliated with them, but I wish I was. Okay, a couple of things. Yes. Next year, price is going up. Bring cash, no checks, just saying. Johnny, you're already charging $10,000 for a Michigan bear hunt. How much more are you going to get? I mean, Johnny gave me a break, right? I paid $9,000 for mine. But most people pay $10,000. Johnny, you're charging $10,000 for a Michigan bear hunt and your prices are going up? 3 minutes. JT, good morning, my friend. How are you? Which side of the state are you on right now, JT? Are you still over on the east side, going to be chasing fall walleye and jumbo perch, or are you on the west side chasing silverfish? Tim Binns, so is thermal imaging allowed in Michigan for tracking but not thermal drones? That's an excellent question, Tim, and I think the answer is yes. I'm very disappointed in the Michigan DNR for not allowing drones to recover fatally wounded animals. I say give us every tool that we can. Craig had to get a second mortgage just to go hunting with Johnny. Jordan, I didn't know you were here. How you doing, buddy? Have a good day. Okay, so we're fixed, to use a hillbilly saying, we're fixing to get busy here in Michigan. And no disrespect to my southern friends. Early goose season starts Monday. Then bear season starts shortly after that. And then small game season shortly after that. And then the youth hunt shortly after that. And then some great fall fishing. I mean, there's a lot going on right now. JT, I stayed on the east side this year. Going to the west side this weekend to fish with a friend. Speaking of the southern slang, Paul says, have a great day, y'all. I was hoping Lance Valentine was going to be on here this morning to thank him for having me on last night during coffee hour. Also, Craig, do you know this? Can I find Lance's past live streams on his The Walleye Zone website? I looked for it just on my phone, kind of half-heartedly. I didn't see him. I know that my live streams stay here. Facebook used to keep them forever. Now they only keep them for 30 days. But YouTube keeps them forever. I think LinkedIn and X keep them forever as well. Okay, so you guys know the routine. You know the drill here. In just a few more seconds, I'm going to have to switch my focus, switch microphones from this social media microphone to my official broadcast microphone. I will put my official broadcast headphones on, and I will switch the focus of this live stream from interacting directly with you to recording the first segment of this week's show. Some sort of GPS device and arrows. See, that's the, yes, but if you get a pass through like I did, my arrow was laying in the dirt 75 yards away. Well, probably 50 yards away. You have a great day, Johnny. 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, blast off. Okay, you can't hear it, but I can. See? That's what I'm hearing right now. That's the opening to the radio show. So I'm going to do just that. I am going to record the first segment of this week's show. If you make a comment or ask me a question, I will not be able to directly and immediately respond because I'll be recording a radio show. Feel free to stick around. I will talk about many of the same topics we have already discussed. But I will be back tonight at 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. Make your reservations now for the 24th for our Wednesday Night Live at the Lumberjack. Call 989-343-0892 for reservations. 989-343-0892. Have a good day, my friends. Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show. Right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network. On more than 30 radio stations across this great state of Michigan, and as always, so glad to have you along with us as we spend the next 3 hours talking about this outdoor lifestyle that we love so much, the history and tradition of hunting and fishing and shooting and trapping, wildlife issues, conservation issues, wild game cooking, all things outdoors, primarily here in the great state of Michigan. It's something that many of us think about and talk about all the time. If you are part of this, and I hate the word community, if you are part of this group, you know what I mean. But I hear every week I hear from people who say, Avery, I don't hunt or fish, but I listen to your show and I find it interesting and I enjoy your conversations with your guests. And you know what? I think that's the biggest compliment I can get. When non-hunters and anglers listen to the show and enjoy it, that's wonderful. Because we want as many people as possible in this state to be aware of what it is that we are doing and be aware of why we are doing it. Number one, yeah, it's fun. It's fun to go hunting and fishing. There's no doubt about that. It is fun to harvest fish and wild game to help feed our families. That's a basic premise of life. But also, we want people to know that our dollars, our license fees, the money we spend on gear and equipment, which can add up, that this all goes for a good cause. So, yes, we welcome the non-hunters and anglers. So Labor Day weekend this weekend. I don't know how it happened. I don't know where it came from, but it did. And it really kind of marks the unofficial end of summer. But in my mind, okay. I'm kind of ready for summer to be gone. In my mind, this was not the best summer ever. It got off to a late start. I mean, we watched my granddaughter's softball games this late spring, early summer, probably wearing winter coats more than we did wearing shorts. And then when it got warm, it came in with a vengeance. It felt like we were living in the Arizona desert, but with humidity. So I'm glad to see it gone. The days are getting shorter. Have you noticed how much shorter? I feel like we've lost about an hour of daylight at the end of the day now. But the cooler temperatures, oh my word, don't they feel good? No humidity, cooler temps, a little chill in the air. I love it. I think the best time of the year is coming up. We are getting ready to get busy here in Michigan. It's starting to happen now. The early goose season starts, Monday? Then the Michigan bear season right behind that. Small game season next. The youth hunt coming up behind that. Some great fall fishing. I mean, there's so much going on this time of year. Looking at the calendar, Jay's anniversary sale is the weekend of the 20th. I will be at Jay's Claire store along with Chris Durson of Rapid River Knives, presenting a check to Andrew Cumptus of Outdoor Driven. The first installment of the proceeds from the Avery Signature Rapid River Knife. So the anniversary sale is that weekend. Then the 24th, Wednesday the 24th, we have a Wednesday night live at the Lumberjack Restaurant, the Forward Corporation Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch. Call 989-343-0892 for reservations, 989-343-0892 for reservations. I will have one of the limited edition Mike Avery signature knives to give away that night. Somebody joining us that night will get one of those knives. Plus, we will have some other things to give away as well. A couple of special guests that night. Lance Valentine of the Walleye Zone will be there. Feel free to come and pick Lance's brain. Andrew Cumptus of Outdoor Driven as well. Plus, I think hopefully somebody there from Jay's, maybe Killer Food Plots, Mr. Angler Quest. We'll see who can make it. I know Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand can't, but Nick's going to join us here on the radio show in just a few minutes. So it's all good. It's all good. 989-343-0892 for reservations. Okay, I want to follow up one last time on my bear hunt. I talked about this story ad nauseum last week. The gist of it is I shot a bear, didn't recover it. It hurts to talk about it. But a couple of follow-up points on this. We were on blood. We stayed on blood. That's why we kept pushing the animal. If looking back on it, I would have done the same thing at this because that's the best information we had. 2020 hindsight, we should have backed out. But people were saying, why didn't you call it a tracking dog? Well, we didn't have any tracking dogs. But then as a follow-up to that, somebody sent me an email and said, hey, what about the concept of one of these thermal imaging scopes? Would that help recover your animal? And I thought, well, maybe. So I reached out to a friend of mine, Scott, who is a hardcore nighttime predator hunter, a coyote hunter, and he's got thermal imaging optics. And I said, Scott, could we have used that tool to recover that animal? He said, absolutely. He said, I'm surprised nobody up there had one. Absolutely. You could have used that tool at nighttime or the next morning, because what they do is they show a heat signature. Because here's the interesting part. Somebody said if you've got these dialed in right away and you get on the track quick enough, you can actually see the tracks where the animal stepped on the ground. So had we had one of those two tools, maybe things would have turned out differently. But again, just something to learn from, something to keep in mind. Another thing I wanted to bring up from that hunt that I didn't bring up last week. OnX. It is how would I describe it? It's an app, it's a website, it's a tool for hunters that shows you property lines, property owners, which I'm thinking downstate here now in Michigan, right? You can see, okay, where's the state land? Where's the private land? Who owns this piece of property? Who would I ask permission for if I had an animal go over into their property? It's very, very valuable. I am not associated with those guys. I do not have an advertising agreement partnership with those guys. I wish I did. It is probably the most valuable scouting and hunting digital tool that I have. I mean, I've used Google Maps in the past. I've used several other waypoint management programs. But what I did was I ended up exporting all of my waypoints, all of my data, I got waypoints from Africa, Alaska, Kansas. Not that I'll ever go there again, but it's just kind of fun to look back on them. I exported them all into OnX. I used OnX on that bear hunt, number one, to make a track into my bear bait so I could find it again. But also then, when we were tracking this animal in the very, very thick Ontario bush after dark, I had my phone in my pocket. I had OnX opened on my phone, and I had started a track. Now, even though there wasn't a cell signal there, I still had the map on my phone, and it made a trail. it made a trail. Every little turn we took, every little up and down, every left and right, it followed us. And then I made a waypoint on the last blood that we could come back to the next morning. You talk about a tool that is just crazy valuable, either up north in the wilderness or downstate where there are different property lines ever. Onyx. Again, no affiliation with them. I think they'd be a nice company to partner with, but Onyx is a great, great tool. Okay. Wednesday night live at the Lumberjack. I mentioned Lance Valentine's going to join us. Andrew Cumtus is going to join us. We're going to give away a Rapid River knife, 989-343-0892. For reservations, 989-343-0892. The Rapid River knives, the Avery signature, they're selling very, very well. If you would like one, go to the website, rapidriverknifeworks.com. That's rapidriverknifeworks.com, or stop by the store on US 2 just east of Rapid River. I'm pushing this knife, not just because I pretty much designed it with, in cooperation with Chris Durson of Rapid River, but the proceeds from this knife are going to a group called Outdoor Driven to get veterans and first responders in the outdoors. Chris isn't making any money on it. I'm not making any money on it. So, again, I'm glad to see us making some money for a very good cause. Now, let's see, rapidriverknifeworks.com or the store. Coming up on this week's radio show, Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand will join me after the break. Nick was on a recent sturgeon fishing adventure. Plus, we'll talk about the company, some new products. Speaking of new products, Brad Dupuis of Angler Quest follows Nick. I was at their dealer show last week. I walked in the door at Linwood Beach Marina, and I was immediately greeted with 2 new models for 2026 of Angler Quest. We'll talk with Brad about that. Then Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News has a promo of their big outdoor weekend at the Eastern Michigan Fairgrounds in Imlay City coming up next weekend. In hour number 2, the Michigan elk season is off to a good start. We will talk with elk hunting guide Vance Gowell about that. Then Scott Buttrick on long-range accurate shooting of 22s. You don't need a 350. You don't need one of these big guns that Paul Phillips was talking about last week. You can use a 22. Obviously, much shorter range, but how cool is that? And then in our third hour, Glenn Alfieri of GK Calls talks about the early goose season that starts Monday. And then we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. So it's going to be a busy show, going to be a great show. I'm so glad you're with us. My name is Mike Avery. This is Outdoor Magazine, my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. All right, my friends, let me answer a couple of comments here. Good morning, Kevin. How are you? Paul has Onyx and Hunt Stand. I'm not familiar with Hunt Stand. How far did Johnny make you drag your bear? Oh, we dragged that bear a quarter of a mile uphill. Ken Carsons, I've written to LSSU Foundation, whether it was folks who pay. Yes, thank you. That's what you need. You need a QR code for PayPal or Venmo. Yes. I will see you at the Lumberjack. Thank you, Kevin. John checking in from St. Louis. Stephen, I take my bears to I take them to Stutzman's game processing near Clare, some Amish, good Amish family, and they bone the meat out, and then it gets shipped off to Michigan Brand. And what does Michigan Brand charge? A couple $100 to have it made into burger and brats, and they do a great job. All right, my friends, I got to go. Have a great day. I will be back tonight at 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. In the meantime, I'm going to eat another piece of Michigan Brand jerky, caffeinate myself some more, and prepare for the show. So you guys have a great day, guys and gals. We'll talk to you tonight.